lose yourself in a good book. The Board Gosh Energy Book Club.
I'm very sorry, we were just discussing books and being
we
all
were
literally
having
there.
our own book club.
We were indeed. Now, as we mentioned, or have mentioned, this month's book club choice is Beatsploitation by Kevin Curran. And Kevin was inspired to write his debut novel after the deportation of one of his students. And this book sheds light on the reality of race politics in Ireland and other aspects of morality, it has to be said.
We are joined this morning by Bob Johnston and Claudia Carroll as they give us their reviews on this month's choice. You are very welcome, as always. Now,
what we were actually discussing, because it's germane to this, was we're discussing a new wave of young Irish writers, and we're trying to figure out where their influences are. And we were both saying that, Bob and I were both saying that John McGahern would have a big influence on this, because Kevin portrays portrays teaching and indeed a lot of the characters in the book in a very unflattering light, and John McGahern did that. John McGahern shone a very bright light on very dark and ugly sides of Irish family life and Irish social life, and indeed was castigated and prescribed for it. So he comes from a very interesting lineage of Irish writers. I also think there's this very strong American influence there with Updike and also Coetzee from South Africa. So, Claudia, what did you reckon?
Well, I thought it was the most astonishing debut. I actually was reading it and I thought it's very difficult to believe that this is a first-time novel. Did you find that? Because the writing is so assured, so confident. Kudos to Stinging Fly, the writers' workshop, who just, to tie in with what you were speaking about, have thrown up incredible talent over the last few years, and also Liberty's Press, are a terrific, very hard-working little imprint, and do amazing work. And you know, I was so glad I discovered this author. But it's very, very well written. Just to give you a little bit of potted history about the plot, it's teacher in a school in out in Balbriggan, and he's in a band, the Terrors, who, you know, they're not really living up to their hopes and dreams of becoming the next U2 garage band. And he's kind of stuck in a rut on many levels, in his relationship, in his job, all over. And he's a transition year teacher. All of a sudden a kid comes into his class called, he's a non-national, called Kembo, goes by the nickname Kembo, who has, the hero Rob discovers quite by accident, has this extraordinary gift for beat. And so Rob almost manipulates a situation where he exploits this kid. And the character of Kembo broke my heart, because life isn't a picnic for him. He's being bullied in school. He's a victim of racist abuse. We know that his older brother is beating him up at home. He's coming into school with black eyes. And this is where I found it, the character of Rob, he was difficult to like at this point, because you think he knew what this kid was going through. This kid, Kembo's life, could and should have been so different. And it wasn't. And you're almost reading the midpoint on with your hand over your face, thinking, when is Rob going to get his comeuppance? But it is a dark book. It's a gritty book. I thought it would appeal to be like a darker version of sort of Nick Hornby, Roddy Doyle. But tying in with what you were saying about McGahern and Pat McCabe, probably too. Well, the darkness. But a great debut, and I look forward to hearing more from Kevin Curran.
We met him recently. He was on the show, Kevin, and he spoke very assuredly as well. I mean, this was a man in possession of an idea and a book, and he had it ready to rock, and there it is, Bob, and it is a very confident debut.
Yeah, it is. It's a well-written book. It's well put together, and as you say, Liberty's Press done a great job on editing and getting it out there. It is very dark, and I was just saying how all the young upcoming Irish writers seem to sort of cling on to this dark side, and maybe it's about where we're at, maybe where society's at the moment, that there's a lot of dark issues. And there is stuff about, you know, the boom and the bang in there. His girlfriend Jen is desperate to buy a house and settle down, and, you know, Rob got into teaching after pressure from her and from his family to get, you know, an established job with a good pension, you know, but he wants to be in his band, he wants to go off and explore the world, but he's settled for something best. And I struggled with it simply because there were no redemptive characters. There were no, he's awful, Rob is a horrible person. And although there's the ending where, you know, without giving too much away, you know, he attempts to redeem himself, shall we say.
To some degree.
But the other teachers in the school aren't particularly nice, and none of them want to be there. The students are awful, his girlfriend's awful, the other people in the band are awful, and it's like, oh, for God's sake, you know, please get a bit of cheer in there, get some laughs in there or something. So I really want some young upcoming Irish writers to write something funny and happy, because we need it.
You need to read women's books.
When we were doing the interview with him, he made the point that you know, it's a morality tale. it's also a kind of a snapshot of where we are, and it's also a treatise on how we became what we are now.
Yeah.
And look, what's happened to the country is awful, but it's what else we've lost. It's the sense of morality and the fact that a teacher looking at a pupil like that, coming in, a failed musician, he's looking for that magic ingredient, and he goes, "This guy's got it." Not, I'm going to include him in it, I'm going to steal it from him. You know, whatever about taking advantage of a situation that throws, you know, a nugget in front of you, to actually rob the nugget is the truly immoral aspect of it. And what have we done? Why have we become like that? That's what he's investigating, or am I wrong?
Yeah, well, his descriptions of, you know, the ghost estates in North County Dublin, Balbriggan in particular, and, you know, teaching in a school with a large immigrant population, incredibly well done. He obviously has that knowledge. What we know is there's thousands of teachers who are so dedicated to what they do and do such a good job. It was a shame we couldn't get any of that into that. But you can only tell the story that's there for you as a novelist. And fair play to him, he's written a very good story with what he wanted to do. Yeah,
and it's incredibly well written as well.
A lot of great subplots. There was a great subplot with his girlfriend and this teacher in school that he's got this crush on / obsession. And I wanted them to have more. I just wanted to read more about that. But it's a comeuppance book, really.
But lots of good about music as well, and I thought Mark would love that. Lots about music and how music comes together and how being in a band comes together and works.
Well, you know, leave it there.
We complain about books that don't actually resonate and kind of hit us where we live. This is one that hits us where we live. We all know.
Maybe we just start reading it.
No, it's hard.
Anyway, it's a thumbs up, yes?
Yes,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you very much.
Now, as we mentioned, Beatsploitation is our book club choice for July, and if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning a 16 gig versus tablet and a book club goodie bag, then what you do is you send your review in to us. Review should be no longer than 50 words, should reach us by Friday the 26th of July. You can email them to irelandm@tv3.ie or send by post to Bord Gáis Energy Book Club, TV3 Westgate Business Park, Ballymount, Dublin 24.
Lose yourself in a good book. The Bord Gáis Energy Book Club.